Hello, welcome, Cabbage here. In War of the Visions, let's do a level 120 review of Barret. And before he was released, before he was even announced in-game, I had certain hopes for how his character would turn out, and they've mostly come true. I talked about this when Final Fantasy VII Remake was going to be released. I was talking about how he might be as a unit in War of the Visions, kind of a ranged character with some tanking abilities. And then they even went a step further, and then in this game they kind of represented some of his short-range stuff. Like I forgot in the original Final Fantasy VII that he could equip like some kind of fist-type weapons, and then he wouldn't shoot anymore, he would get up and punch. They gave him some skills in here that are like that, so that was very cool. And I never really liked Barret in the original Final Fantasy VII, but they really did him right in Remake. They made him a lot less annoying, and they made him more sympathetic. And beautiful eyes. I couldn't believe it when he took off his sunglasses for the first time. But it shows that the developers of the remake, they really like this character. Barret is one of the more misunderstood characters here in War of the Visions. Again, I'm going to make the comparison to Rosa. Depending on how you build them, they will perform in different ways. They kind of suffer from being able to do too many things. And like if you try to spread the build of the character too thinly, if you try to do too many things at once, they're not going to be good at anything. So I would say to really focus on just like one aspect of them. Choose a role for the unit and then build towards that. Think about the unit in terms of the team and then build towards that. And then I also want to quash this idea that people have of Barret as an attacker. He is not an attacker at all. He has a little bit of defense penetration in his Masterer ability, but that's a red herring. I would just ignore that. And just defense penetration overall, unless it's very high, like on Cloud, I just have not been very impressed with it since its release. It doesn't work at all on characters that don't have any defense, and then even if you do have 20, that's only a 20% decrease in their defense. So yeah, I really wouldn't build Barret as an attacker. At the end of the video, I'll try to show you the ultimate attacking Barret, and then show how disappointing he is as a damage source. But earlier this year, I made a video talking about unit archetypes, like roles within teams, and then that's the kind of the main way that I think about team building when I think about who to put in my PvP teams. And then there was a type of unit that I wanted to add to this chart, but which I ended up not doing, just because there weren't enough units of that type. But it is a tie-up unit, and where it would appear on this chart is on the far right side of the evade area. And then what these units are good for is that they go to the front, and then they kind of engage the enemy and distract them, make them waste AP or skill uses or just turns. Kind of fulfilling the same role as a tank, but not as beefy, not lasting as long, but maybe with some other stuff like breaks or status effects or something. And that is definitely what Barret is. I would also say somebody like Shadowlynx is another tie-up unit. Another way you could think about Barret, if you do want to play him as a front row type, is as a support for your main attacker. Again, Barret is not going to be your main attacker. I don't think he's even good enough to be a secondary attacker. But as a support to the main attacker, I think he could be great. Again, he's got a little bit of the tankiness so that he can take the attacks. He has some innate hate so he can draw the attacks and then, distract from maybe your more fragile main attackers. And then breaks and things, like defense breaks, in order to set up better damage from the main attacker. And actually, a team with Cloud, Barret, and Aerith for PvP would be pretty good. That's probably going to blow some minds of some people that can only think in terms of elements. But again, I think in terms of roles within the team. And so Cloud, he is the main attacker, but you don't want him taking attacks. And so you have Barret going to the front with him, drawing attacks with the hate, surviving longer with the defense. And then Aerith, she can use Quick to catapult Barret to the front, and then she can follow up from behind and do healing, maybe do some magic attacks towards the end. Somebody earlier today asked me for some advice about kind of getting back into the game, and my number one advice was not to get too hung up on elements. Focus more on roles, and then I guess I can link to that old video down below. Alright, but before we get way more into tactics and strategy, which I've already done, let's look at the stats here. Barret, he can get good defense, and then he can get good HP. Attack, I think he can break 1,000, but don't quote me on that. And then I have said before that his aim is not great. It's okay, actually. His dexterity is pretty high, that's around 300 there. That's not Federica level, she has almost 400. But 300 is respectable. And then luck on him is a little bit low, so you might want to give him some accuracy stuff, but it's not like he's going to be whiffing all over the place like Miranda. Okay, then we can look at his resistances. Nothing much to say here. A little bit of slash and projectile. Almost nothing on anything else. Alright, and then Trustmaster, this is a light armor. One hole in my account is a light armor with good defense, so I should probably try to look into that and then craft that. But this has pretty good HP for light armor, some defense, and then some critical evade. And then the active ability is a self-buff. For 3 turns will raise own critical, and then critical evade. I don't think this is great, because again, I don't think you want to use Barret for damage or attacking. But let's look at the model real quick. Pretty cool. I like all of the remodels, not remodels, but like the nicer looking models that they did for Final Fantasy VII Remake. They're very close to the original. They're not like Advent Children or anything. But yeah, kind of more modernized, made very cool looking. Okay, and then we'll look at the jobs. He's got Gunner, Final Fantasy VII version, the regular Gunner, and then the Pugilist. Then we can go into the board. Alright, let's look at the skills for Final Fantasy VII Gunner. Here is Fuel Burst. This will be upgraded with EX jobs. A little bit of range, single target. For 3 turns will break defense. Again, that's maybe setting up your main attacker. Will do medium damage himself after the break, and then has a chance to cast slow. And then again, he has a lot of status effects, so I like to raise the faith on him. Okay, here's Anger Max, medium range again, 3 hits. This is ice projectile damage. Could be good for raise, but for arena and stuff, I turn it off. Okay, Grenade Bomb, medium range. Has a high chance of critical, big damage, and then for 3 turns will lower healing efficacy. This could be good against like Yuna, people like that, healers, people with react heals. Here's another medium range attack, small damage, will break attack. That can help you kind of close the gap between you and then their main attacker. And then here is a TP skill. This is upgraded with EX jobs. Will raise attack and defense. And this was very useful for him to use against Cloud. I'll link to another video before where I show off Barret in Arena, but there was a 1 or 2 cases where Barret went one-on-one against Cloud, held his own, even though Cloud has a 60% defense penetration, outlasted Cloud and then took him down. And then this self-buff here is really going to be helpful for that. Okay, then zero range shoot. Let's see, I like this one. A little bit of AoE, short distance, big damage, and then will remove guts or courage. So this is good against Tifa, good against tanks. I guess against tanks the defense penetration could be good, but like the vast majority of characters don't have a lot of defense. But yeah, the utility of this attack is nice, and then also makes him want to get close to the opponent. And before I forget, I do want to say that Barret, he's a pretty good counter to Tifa. You might have to work on his accuracy a little bit because she's pretty evadey, but Barret gets the element advantage. He can remove guts. He might have better range than her as well. And we're probably going to see a lot of Tifa around just because she is a handout unit. So yeah, maybe try Barret against her. Okay, next let's look at the Gunner, Final Fantasy VII subjob. Ground Blow, here's another short-range attack, AoE. Will do medium damage, has a chance for Don't Move, This is an interesting tie-up ability. Once guys get close to you, you have a chance to keep them there. And then the other skill is Energy Reload. Will raise projectile attack by a lot for 1 turn. I guess this is like a charge from Monk. But again, I just don't like him for damage, so I rarely use this sub-job. Let's skip regular Gunner. Let's go straight to Pugilist. This is the one that I use the most. And then this kind of emphasizes him as a kind of a close-range attacker, more kind of a bruiser or a tank. But here is a self-heal. This is nice, but he never uses it. And then, let's see, short range, medium damage. For 3 turns will break attack again. And then based on how many times they are hit, they will do more damage themselves. This is kind of powerful. And then good synergy with Barret, him being a bruiser. Okay, here's an AoE TP skill. We'll raise strike attack, and then for 3 turns we'll give a defense penetration to himself. Don't usually use that. Here is the move and attack. This is especially good for Barret. I think maybe for other pugilists this wasn't as good because it put them too much in danger's way. But Barret wants to get close, so this has good synergy with him too. I don't know why I have that turned off. Okay, here's a TP skill self-buff. For 3 turns we'll raise own max HP, and then heal that HP, and then also raise his defense. So yeah, this Pugilist sub-job, it has some nice synergies with him, especially as a close-range bruiser or tank, so this is what I'm usually using. And then the one build that I never use, but which I would be interested to use, is the Gunner sub-job. And this would be more to use Barret from range, kind of like Federica, do like status effects or breaks from range. It seems counterintuitive because Barret has such good defense and good HP, but this could be an interesting way to use him. But we got the usual suspects, Sidewinder, Piercing, Beast Slayer, Leg Aim, AoE buff, this will raise a critical rate. That might be good on Cloud. Arm Aim for Don't Act, that's very nice. Blackout to cause blind. And then another AoE TP skill. This will raise a projectile attack and then increase range by 1. Have not tried the regular Gunner build for Barret, but I want to someday. Okay, support abilities. We got this one from Pugilist, raise HP and attack. That's pretty good for him. And here is a Avalanche, something or other, raise defense and then critical evade. I usually like that one too. Let's see, he's got this one to raise his range 2. This would be good with his Gunner sub-job, of course. Lower evade. And then here, this will raise accuracy, and then also increase the damage of the repeating punching counter, which I'll show you later. And then here's projectile attack up, I would ignore that. And then here, maybe his most interesting support ability, hate up. This will give him +5 hate. And then the idea of that is it's kind of like Dwayne, or it's kind of like Vow of Love, where you can start the match with hate, and then kind of ideally you would sort of fool with the plans that the other PvP team has on auto battle, of course. Like if they have a setup, like their perfect positioning, and then they do the TP buffs on each other, you can kind of mess that up with this passive hate. But like if the other characters are too far away, it's not going to matter. I go back and forth on how much I like it. In the current arena map, which I showed in a previous video, I was able to set it up so that Barret would be going to the front and then drawing attacks, even without any particular hate on him. So yeah, depending on the map, depending on your team, that may or may not be useful. Okay, then counter abilities, reaction abilities. Here's the Pugilist one. I like this one. It's 2 hits, does pretty good damage. And 2 hits that can help you with maybe breaking multiple barriers on Helena or something. Okay, then we got Counter Shot. This is from regular Gunner. If he's attacked from range, he will attack from range again. And then here's his main job reaction ability. When he is hit again from range, he will counterattack and then maybe break agility. I don't usually like the counterattacks that are from gunners because they go straight ahead and they might hit your teammates, so yeah, I usually go for the punching one. Okay, then we got Limit Break, Catastrophe. 2 hits, long range, and then he can hit people right next to him too. And then for 3 turns has a chance of Confusion, which is not as good as Berserk, but still pretty good. And then finally, Mastery ability, the typical Ice Party buff, and then raise own HP, and then Defense Penetration up 15. Okay, so that is a look at Barret's jobs. Next, let's head into a kind of a field test. Let's look at how much damage we can get out of him. Okay, here we are with, I think, the strongest Barret I can make, but let's look at his stats here. And I did get his attack over 1100. And then equipped on him, I have the Ras Al Gethi, plus 5. That'll give him 15 projectile attack. And then here I have the Diamond Coat, plus 5. This will give him 15 projectile resistance penetration. And then I got Golem for the defense and the Maneater. And then I have this Laswell card, which will give him attack 152, and then also give him Maneater on ice element attacks, and then for self, attack up 30%. And I got Aranea in there just for the Ice Party Mastery ability. Ifrit for more just regular attack there. And then on Helena, I have the Freezes Vision card, which will raise Ice attack up 35 there. And then also critical damage. And HP, okay. Okay, let's head into the field. I wish I had Dwayne so that I could show Barret against him, because I think most people are pretty familiar with how hard it is to damage Dwayne, but don't have him. I am working on him actually, slow building him. But yeah, I'll be able to show that later. Let's use the Barriers Trustmaster ability on Helena. Let's use all of the typical self-buffs. Which one was this? Defense up. Okay, that'll work. Okay, Aranea, we don't care. Alright. With Barret, well, let's just use some attacks before we even buff him. Okay, so here is the Pugilist attack. A little bit of range goes up with damage when he is hit more often. Okay, 3,000 on Helena, 3,000 on Charlotte. Here is the move. I haven't leveled this up, we'll forget about that. Anger Max, this is the 3-hit attack. Okay, 2,600, 2,300. Grenade Bomb, this is the healing efficacy down. 3,000, 2,700, okay. Here, medium range, small damage, break attack. Yeah, that's barely breaking 2,000. Zero range shoot. This will remove courage. Let's try that. 600 on Mont. And 3,000 there. And then finally, fuel burst. This will break defense, so this has a little bit better chance of doing some damage. 3,000, 3,000. Okay, so we're not seeing any amazing damage there. He's not one-punching anyone. But let's use this one. This will raise his own attack and defense. Okay, we'll just wait. Charlotte, she can use Glorious Armor. This will give Protect Shell and then also buff defense and spirit. Let's see if Barret can do anything to her after that. Okay. Oh, let's look at Catastrophe, his limit break. So 1,000 there on Charlotte, 3,000 on Helena. Let's see here again. Anger Max, 3-hit attack. Okay. Grenade Bomb. Okay, okay. Alright, that's the one with small damage. Again, 0 range shoot. 1500, 700, 3000, okay. And then finally, fuel burst. 2000, 3600. Okay. So even though I have this Barret equipped to the max to get the most damage out of him, he's not doing very much, so hopefully that convinces everyone to not use him as an attacker. Okay, don't mean to end the video on a negative note, but it just means that his uses are not going to be as obvious. He's going to be more of a character for kind of advanced users. And then again, you can refer to my video about roles and then think about the kind of role that he could fill in your team. Okay, thanks for watching and we'll see you again. Take care.